All right, boys, let's talk about one of the programs that's near and dear to my heart, and that is combat sports strength and conditioning. To me, this is the pinnacle of fitness because you're strong, you're fast, and you have endurance. There's a lot of people in this world that are strong, there's a lot of people that are fast, and there's a lot of people that have endurance, but not many people have all three. And in order to train all three, you do have to evolve as an athlete. You need to build strength at some point. You need to build stamina at some point and speed. All of these things need to be trained differently. And if you focus on training them all at once, you don't really get anywhere. So once you've built up some fundamental strength, you've built up some athleticism, then you can begin to focus on combat sports training. In my opinion, I train a couple different fighters. One of them's in the UFC right now, Jairzinho Rosenstruck, and the other one is a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt who competes in Abu Dhabi, and his name is Roosevelt Sousa. And when I train these guys, I train them the way that I'm going to explain to you right now so that they can go hard for as long as they want. And that's what we're looking to do here. When I was a fighter, I didn't have the gas tank that I should have because I was working out too much. So what I'm going to teach you guys is how to work out the right way so that you recover from your training and you are able to keep getting better. I got better. I was 4-0 as a fighter, and then I fell off a cliff. I was also a firefighter too, so I was burning the candle on both ends, and I stressed my body out. And by the time I was 33 years old, I had lost 4 out of 5 fights in a row, and I had very little ability to maintain a high level of performance because I had burnt myself out. So what we're going to learn here is how to do it long term so you never burn out. All right? So the first thing you got to realize when you're training for combat sports is periodization. Like I was saying, you can't do everything at once. So you might have 4 weeks where you're building up your strength and you're building up your aerobic cardio, which means for a long time, like a long jog. And that's very important because when you work out aerobically, you create more mitochondria, which give you energy, and more blood capillaries throughout your muscles, which give you oxygen. So more energy, more oxygen, more cardio. But you can only do that if you go for a 45-minute jog at a low heart rate or a bike ride or a row, something steady state for a long time at a low heart rate. So that's part of the training. Strength training is part of the training. Explosiveness is part of the training. Power is part of the training. And you need to work these cycles in. And you'll see the program that I've designed for you guys has these cycles inside. It's basically the same kind of stuff I give these pro fighters, but of course it's a little bit lower volume so that you can work into it. What are you developing here? Well, like I said, strength, speed, endurance. So what are the essentials to this strength and conditioning program? Well, like any strength and conditioning program, you need to use compound exercises because you get more bang for your buck. Not all of us have the ability to train like a pro. We got to fit in a lot of training in a small time, so that's why we use compound exercises. And of course, progressive overload. You can't get stronger if you don't challenge yourself. So you got to make sure you're challenging yourself. And then finally, this is one that I think is super important. You got to train full body. If you're training body part splits like a bodybuilder, you're probably going to be building too much muscle and you're not going to be coordinating everything together. Because as a fighter, you have to coordinate your lower body, your core, your upper body. Everything needs to flow together instead of isolation exercises. And there's a time and a place for that. I love those too. But those are not going to help you become a better fighter. Those are going to actually hinder you by making you too tight. You need to be loose. You need to be fast. So we're going to train full body 3 days a week. Now, when it comes to maximizing our cardio capacity, we're going to use a couple different things. Steady state cardio, that's long, slow stuff that is boring. Put on a good podcast, put on some music and go, but it's not that difficult. You could have a conversation doing it. It needs to be done. Tempo runs, these are hard. You're not going to be able to have a conversation doing this. You're probably running, 80% of your max speed and power for 3 to 4 minutes, taking a 3 to 4 minute break and doing that multiple times. Explosive sprints. I like doing these on an assault bike because I have a injured hip. I'm 46. I have to get surgery and I can't sprint like I used to. I can run, but I can't open up fully. So on the bike, I can really open up. On the rower, we can really open up. So you want to think about things that are not going to impact you long term either. The whole goal is to get fitter and less injured because as you get older, all those old injuries start coming back to haunt you. So now is the time that you have the information, you have the knowledge of somebody like me who's already made all the mistakes, writing the workout for you. All you got to do is do what I tell you. So explosive sprints, 0 to 10 seconds, those got to be in there. And interval training, those can be anywhere from 30 seconds to 90 seconds, and they're going to be high intensity, and then you're going to take short breaks. So these are all different ways you have to train to work your 3 different energy systems. You have your creatine phosphate system, which is like your short sprint. Then you have your anaerobic, which is like a 1-minute run. And then you start to slow down into aerobic. And that's when you can run forever. So think about if you're running from the cops or somebody, the first 10, 15 seconds, you're really running. And then you start to get tired at about a minute or two. And then you really start to jog slow. Those are the 3 energy systems. Now, what's the secret to a long-term development when it comes to combat sports? Recovery and regeneration. This is hard training. The skill work you're going to do is going to be hard. So you guys are probably going to be boxing. You're probably going to be doing jiu-jitsu or MMA. And this is just one part of that. So you have to think of your training as almost like stress management. You're not going to be trying to train so hard that it messes up your skill development. So you have to bring them together in synergy. In order to do that, you got to make sure you get enough recovery and rest. So sleep, we've all talked about sleep on all of these courses. Sleep is a superpower. When you can develop good sleep habits, you get a leg up on everybody else. Nutrition. Nutrition is always going to be important because that's the fuel you use for your body. If you don't have good fuel in you, you can't output good performance. So shitty fuel, shitty performance. Data. I use an Oura ring. There's something called a Whoop strap. This way you're able to measure everything you're doing from your sleep to your HRV scores to your readiness to your strain. And it's going to tell you, man, you didn't get a lot of good sleep and you're run down. So on those days, you do a light yoga, walk, something like that. And that would be better than training hard with that score because then you're going to push your body past its point to recover. So we want to push to the edge, but then we want to pull back. Push to the edge and pull back. And little by little, we push out further and further. Nutrition and supplementation. When you think of nutrition, you got to realize carbs and fats are fuel for you. Okay? So when you're on a light training day, you don't need a lot of carbs. You can eat fat and protein. And on a heavy training day, you don't need a lot of fat. You can eat a lot of carbs and protein. So you have to know what those are. And in the meal plan down below, I'll put training days, non-training days for meals. And that way, you're not overeating your calories and you're giving your body the energy it requires for the activity that it's doing. You're always going to eat protein though, because protein is the king of macronutrients. In my opinion, it keeps you full. It helps build muscle. You can't store it, so you got to eat a lot of it. You can store fat. You can store glycogen, carbohydrates as glycogen, but you can't store protein. So you need to eat a lot of it every single day so that you stay lean, you stay strong, and you keep creating new tissue wherever you need it. And supplements are important. You can't take, 30 different supplements, but if you want to improve your mitochondria, there's supplementation for that. If you want to improve your hormones, there's supplementation for that. Even for improving your sleep and your recovery, there's supplementation for that. And down below, I'll put the supplement guide so you guys know exactly what you need to get if you want to get it. So what's the conclusion to becoming a dangerous motherfucker who can fight for 20 minutes? Well, you need a holistic approach. Integrating these principles comprehensively is the key to long-term success. You can get short-term success with some of these, but then you get burnout or you get injury. This is about long-term dangerous, okay? You don't need to be a MMA fighter or a boxer, but you need to be capable of being one. And the more capable you are, the more dangerous you are, the nicer you're going to be. Trust me, before I became dangerous, I was fighting in the streets all the time. I probably would have got killed if I didn't learn how to fight. Once I learned how to fight, I didn't care about fighting anymore because I got all of my anger and all of my frustrations out on the mats. So I became much more dangerous, but also much more calm. You have to individualize this training program around your life. If you work a 9 to 5, if you work 24 hours like a firefighter, if you're in the military, all of these things require a little bit different approach. And that's what the coaching is for inside the community when we have our coaching calls, is for us to help you problem solve anything that's going on. And a commitment to excellence. I mean, we only get to live on this earth one time as this vehicle that we're in right now, let's do our best to be the best version we can. And then along with our mindset training, continually develop ourselves, create the reality that we want, and become the best versions of ourselves, serving humanity and having a wonderful time while we do it. I'll see you guys on the next one.